Hi everyone, and welcome to another session of Fridays with Car Talk. And today we've got quite an interesting lineup for you. Today was the launch of the Datsun Go Plus, and I'm just back from that launch, and it's quite an interesting launch. We'll be talking about that, and the other things we'll be talking about on the show are also MPVs versus SUVs, which is a better choice. A discussion around that, as well as winter car care tips. What do you do in winter? How do you keep your windscreen demisted? How do you drive in snow? How do you drive in the hills? And various other car care tips to keep your car in top condition. And to discuss all this today, of course, I've got with me our newsman in Pune, Jai Prashant Ponram, and we also have a couple of special guests. We've got Mandar Ketkar, who is a dentist by profession but a car buff at heart, and he joins us live from his clinic in between running between patients. And just to back him up, while he's doing that, we also have our business development guy, a man in the hot seat, Devdat Narayan, who is normally in Bangalore, but today he's there in Pune for a dental appointment at Mandar's clinic. So they've also joined us. Hi guys. And so the Datsun Go Plus was launched today at an amazing price point, if you ask me, of 3.79 lakh and going up to 4.61 lakh for the top end variant, which is the T. And at this price point, this car actually competes with cars like a WagonR. If you look at the pricing, it's actually bang on against the Maruti WagonR, against Hyundai's Eon at the top end, and also the Grand i10. No, it's actually in hatchback territory, and you're getting a car with far more luggage space over here. JP, what's your take on the Go Plus and
Yeah,
the pricing?
yeah. The Go Plus starts off from where the Go hatchback left off because the top end variant of the Go also is for 3.79 lakhs. So yeah, they've got the pricing bang on because you get space, etc. The Go hatchback, I mean Go Plus. So that's pretty good about the Go Plus. But then again, you still have to also see how it actually does because traditionally station wagons have never done well in India. So and with the launch, Datsun also mentioned that the Go Plus is a compact wagon. So it is actually creating a completely new segment.
Confused with the Datsun Go Plus as to what exactly its target buyer is going to be. Surely not the person with a small family is going to go and prefer the WagonR or a similar hatch. And the only person whom I can see going for the Datsun Go Plus would be the very budget buyer who has a large family and who doesn't mind shoving or punishing his kids with making them sit in the third row. Other than that, all the other aspects of the car are very much of a compromise and kind of cost cutting that they've shown in both the Go also and the Go Plus also. It's quite a bad thing for the car.
So that brings us to our next topic of discussion, actually, which is on MPVs. You have I mean, it's a growing trend of compact MPVs. Okay, the Datsun Go Plus is actually one of the most compact over here. But you also have like the Maruti Ertiga, the Honda Mobilio, the Chevrolet Enjoy in the space, priced, of course, much higher than the Datsun Go Plus. So, among these MPVs, which would you say would be a pretty practical choice overall for a buyer?
Then I would go with the Ertiga. But if I look for some more space and a car-like feel, then the Mobilio.
Amongst these, the most logical choice would be the Ertiga simply because it's a Maruti. The person who goes in for an MPV essentially is looking for practicality, and Maruti gives you the most practicality as a brand. Other than that, Honda kind of slightly priced on the higher side, and being Honda, it's not like a very um, average user brand. It's still more, got that slightly higher brand value. Um, the other one is the Enjoy. Enjoy, well, it is a practical car, but again, it's a GM product, and you look at the person who's buying the car is also going to look at the brand, and that is where Maruti takes the advantage over all the others.
Now, there were some questions we got about, whether one should choose a multi-purpose vehicle or a sports utility vehicle. So if what's the choice over here, and why would someone choose a sports utility vehicle over a multi-purpose vehicle? Mandar?
Simple, image versus practicality. That's basically it. If the sports utility vehicles that come in the same price point as these MPVs that we are talking about, they aren't more than glorified hatches, whether it is the Duster or the EcoSport or the series of SUVs that are in line to come. So they don't give you much of a practicality any more than a hatchback. You would basically go in for the image that you're driving an SUV. Some of the practical advantages of the SUV, like a high ground clearance, or they're very marginal in these compact SUVs. It's not like a very major advantage. Space is not an advantage with the compact SUVs. So it's basically just your image versus practicality. If you want 7 seats, I think we should discuss which internet connection we should be on first.
Some of our viewers. So we're going to take a few questions. One of our viewers has written in from Manipal, and he has a very interesting question, which is for an entry-level car. It says, which car is better, Hyundai Eon 1 liter or a Maruti Alto K10 for city rides and for long weekend drives? This is Suyash from Manipal. I'm going to toss this question first to Mandar. Alto K10 or Hyundai Eon 1 liter?
I would pick the Alto K10 over the Hyundai Eon primarily because, in spite of the slight compromise that it does in terms of interior space, it is a better finished car, A, and B, long weekend drives might require the presence of a service station where you are, and there Maruti is unbeatable. Also, the K10 happens to be a very nifty performer compared to the Hyundai Eon 1 liter, which is why, and of course, being a lower car, it handles better, it has better aerodynamics, and is a better car for highway drives. In the city, more often than not, it is 2 or 3 people who sit in a car, and 2 or 3 people can decently sit in the Alto K10 as well. So to me, it would be the Alto over the Hyundai Eon.
I would say the Alto K10 would be my choice over the Eon, simply because it's a little more how do I put it? A little more friendly than the Eon.
Which is better, a compact SUV or a sedan, and why?
Basically, the sedan would be a more easier choice because most are used to driving either a hatch or a sedan, and it's very easy to move on to another sedan in terms of the driving dynamics or the basic ride comfort and everything. Compact SUVs, it's if you're used to it, or if you if you are willing to adapt to the drivability of an SUV, then it would be a good option. But otherwise, if you want to stay in your comfort zone, then stick to a sedan because you're used to a hatch and a sedan, and you can't go wrong with that.
Comes in from Akshit Gupta, who says, how do I pick between a Duster and a Terrano? Which one is better?
Everyone is wondering on that question.
The Terrano, I mean, it's like asking you to choose between twins. I mean, identical twins or almost, I mean, one is cosmetically.
Absolutely. The Terrano looks better, and I think it looks a little more mature and properly designed as compared to the Duster. I've never been a fan of the way the Duster looks, but the Terrano kind of polished off the rough edges that the Duster had, so it come between the two, it looks a little better. Under the skin, there's hardly any difference between the two.
This is something where I'm sure Dave will have a lot to say since he drives a lot all over the country, the length and breadth of the country. So, we're looking at some car care tips over here, especially winter car care tips, the do's and don'ts. Let's start with driving in fog, driving in the hill, driving at night. Whole starting of a diesel engine car, what oil works best, and keeping the windscreen demisted. Let's take them one by one. Dave.
So no
Okay.
yellow headlamp, paper, plastic cover, yellow covers, they don't help. It is a myth. The glare increases but penetration does not. Please don't turn your hazard lights on and drive in fog or without fog in tunnels anywhere. Hazard lights are supposed to be on only when the car is stationary or when the car is broken down. And thirdly, do not drive fast in fog. It does not help to clear the fog at all.
Dave, some tips for driving in the hills.
A couple of very important things that we need to understand. One tends to move off one's lane when driving in the hills just because we do not see the car around a bend, or we feel the road is empty because we see 2-3 bends ahead of us, which is very wrong. It is very important to stick to one's lane when driving on the hills. It's also very important not to upshift during a hairpin bend or downshift during a hairpin bend, because you might need to do multiple things around the bend. You might need to brake, you might need to swerve, you might need to give way to an oncoming car, and if you add up gear shifting to that, it only complicates your driving further.
Third thing is, yes, as Dave mentioned, it's very important that you actually stick to the lane rather than just because the other lane is empty, you go to the other lane, and it creates a lot of confusion, and it can actually lead to a lot of problems. And what he said is the other thing also is very relevant. It's mid-corner gear shifts are best avoided. It's better you choose the ratio and stick to it. When you go through a corner rather than doing all the changing in the middle of the corner. That's pretty much it.
So any tips for people driving at night, in winter especially?
See, I am a fan of night drives primarily because the general riffraff on the roads, especially when you cross cities and towns, stays away at night. There are very few cycle runners and buffaloes and tractors and pull-up cars at night, which enables you to cover distances very quickly compared to daytime driving. However, while we understand that these nuisances are lesser at night, there is also a chance of a black boulder lying on the road at night beyond the range of your headlamps if you're driving too fast. There is also a chance of some drunkard coming across the road wearing dark clothes at night around the bend, because most of our highways do not have bypasses for villages.
Now, the other thing about driving at night is to always drive within your comfort zone, within the speed limit that you are comfortable with and in the range of your headlights. Of course, also keep a lookout for trucks which do not have tail lamps, and that's a huge, huge menace on the roads. I mean, you tend to get complacent. You come around a bend and there's a truck parked over there without tail lights. That's kind of dangerous as well. So you have to keep an eye out for that. And the other thing is about high beam headlamps. Now we'll find that most people don't bother to dip their lamps. So you're going to get dazzled if you keep looking into the beam of an oncoming vehicle. So I think one of the things you need to do is to look away from the oncoming vehicle. Just keep it at the side of your vision and look into the path of your headlamps towards the left of the road. I think that is another important tip there. JP, do you have anything that on night driving that you'd like to share?
For a person like me, nowadays you get these anti-reflective glasses. Okay, even on a spectacle, there is a nice coating that you nowadays get, and they actually do help a lot when for you not to get dazzled by the oncoming headlamps. The Zeiss makes some very good coatings, so I've got that on, and has actually helped me a lot.
Other question we keep getting is keeping the windscreen demisted. How do you keep the windscreen free of fog from fogging up? I think it's a pretty basic thing that most people get wrong. Mandar, your points on that?
Very simple remedy is to use the silica gel packets lying around that you get along with
Most stuff you buy.
Stuff that electronics and stuff. Use the silica gel packets and keep them around the dashboard. They will help absorb a lot of the moisture. And learn to use your AC in a way that you can use the demisting function of the AC properly. Because most of the situations I've seen that people don't know how to use the demister, and then whether you should use the hot air, the cold air, how you should switch. All these things people don't know very easily. So
for very light misting, I think all you need to do is just switch it to fresh air mode, switch it to windscreen, the airflow control to windscreen, switch it to fresh air, and switch the temperature control to a neutral position, not hot, not cold, and just leave it like that. So as you're driving along, the normal ventilation will equalize the temperature between the outside and inside of the glass, and you won't get misting. And if there is misting, you can just switch on the AC, and the AC compressor helps to dehumidify the interior so you don't get moisture on the windscreen. And if you're feeling uncomfortable with the cold air, if you're driving in a cold place, then you can switch it to hot air and use the AC compressor for a short while. It will just dehumidify the air, and it won't really cool the car down as such, because your hot air will anyway be coming in. And the thing about hot air is, another thing I found with a lot of people is that they start the car, whole car in the morning, and immediately switch on the heater and say, "Arey, heater come." Heater is not working. And that's something I think we need to kind of tell people why this happens. And that's because the hot air that you have on most cars is from the engine coolant. The coolant needs to heat up, and the heat from the engine is then transferred into the interior of the car. I think there are very few cars that come with electric heaters. I don't think we have any of them here in India. That's what this Friday's Fridays with Car Talk was all about, and we'd like you to join us on this hangout next week as well. Every week, 3 p.m. Fridays with Car Talk. If you want us to take your questions live, all you need to do is just go to our homepage, cartalk.com. You'll find this little ad on the left which says Fridays with Car Talk. Click on that, put in your name, email address, phone number, and your question, and we will take that question live on air. And if you have video capability, if you have Google Hangouts installed on your computer, if you have a video camera and a microphone, we can even take these questions live on air with you on the screen on our Google Hangout. And on that note, thanks for watching, and hope to catch you next Friday as well. And this is Roshan signing off from Delhi.